Welcome back to another episode of Inside TYPO3. In this month's episode, we're diving into the upcoming Developer Days. Tom and I give you all the tips and tricks for how to survive your first Developer Days, including what you should pack. Later, Louisa and I talk about the Developer Days schedule, the breathwork workshop, chill-out rooms, the social event, and much more on what you can expect from this year's event. Thank you as always for listening. We hope to see you soon in Carl's World. On to our first interview with Tom. To read more about surviving your first Developer Days, visit our accompanying blog.
So a few weeks ago at the community sprint, Kendall and I were chatting about how we could maybe come up with writing a survival guide for people who are attending the Developer Days for the first time. This year we've got some attendees or new attendees coming from the UK and other places in Europe. And we wanted to ask the wider community what their ideas and survival tips would be for people attending the Developer Days for the first time. So Kendall wrote a fantastic blog for TYPO3.com, which is titled Your Survival Guide for the Developer Days. So Kendall, I thought we could maybe go through this list together and recap on some of the major points.
Yeah, so it will be my first Developer Days as well. So I found the feedback from the community and people within the GmbH really helpful because, yeah, the event is highly anticipated. It's talked about a lot, and I was not sure what to expect. I think what we could start, we can go through the essentials that people listed, things to know about prerequisites for equipment, things like that. But I just wanted to say that one of the things that was consistent throughout all the responses was kind of coming to the Developer Days with an openness and willingness to socialize, get outside of your comfort zone, sit with people that you haven't sat with before, people who aren't, a colleague of yours. So I just thought it was really interesting that everybody was so encouraging of that one piece, just coming with like a good, open, friendly attitude to the experience versus kind of staying in a bubble.
Yeah, I really agree with that. Just from the previous two events or Developer Days I've been to, over the course of the week, you slowly see people kind of moving away from their own groups, which could be the company they work for or their group of friends. And you slowly start to see people sort of kind of uncouple from those groups and start moving out and talking to new people and spending time, be it having breakfast or lunch or maybe a drink afterwards. And I think one of the reasons why people talk about that so much is because I think one of the reasons why so many people have recommended this is because instinctively we tend to stay within our own groups whenever we travel or go to events. But equally, we miss out on those conversations, on networking with new people. I hate that word, but yeah, we miss out on talking to new people and finding out about what they're doing with the product and other things if we don't actually make the effort to talk to new people. So I remember from both of my last events, I've made some new friends, people I'm looking forward to seeing again this year as well. So I think on top of that as well, it's generally a very friendly community. And people, even the more senior people in the community or the more well-known people in the community are always keen to talk to new members and talk to new participants and stuff like that. So it's a bit of a cliche, but I think it's really worth people trying to do because you'll get a lot more out of the event if you make the time to speak to new people.
Yeah, I agree. And having attended the General Assembly in Zurich myself, I had so many different people come sit with me at lunch, and Panos as well. And we got to know some people from the Swiss community, but also, some of the different agencies and partners in attendance. So everyone was very welcoming. And yeah, I really wasn't expecting that level of openness at an event. So it was really nice. But as we talk about, so looking forward to Developer Days, some of the other responses we got were, more leaning towards like the essentials. So a lot of people mentioned that the hotel does not have air conditioning in the rooms. So there was a lot of recommendations that focused around wearing like light breathable clothing, bringing deodorant to stay fresh throughout the day and feel comfortable, and staying hydrated, I would say, is one of the main things.
Yeah, absolutely. That's not an excuse not to wear shoes as well. That's just a personal opinion there. But seeing people walking around conferences without shoes on is It's a bit icky, but that's just my opinion on that. But
That and
I sup-
planes. People do it on planes.
yeah, that's yeah.
And that kind of brings me to one of the points that we talked about in the blog, which is that, yeah, your room is your refuge. So, one of the benefits I think about developer days is that the hotel is connected to where the talks take place, correct?
Yes, that's right. They are literally in the same building as well. So I guess in less than a minute's time, you can walk from a conference straight back into your room to your lovely bed and shower and everything else. Yeah, they're really close. It's one of the really cool features of this event actually is the fact that everything is just self-contained. So you
Yeah.
don't have to worry. Even if you're running late for one of the conference talks or you're running late for breakfast, you're literally on the event. So yeah, it makes things a lot more convenient and you don't have to worry about traveling as much, which is really good.
Yeah, not as much pressure. Yeah, so one of the things that we talked about in the blog was, yeah, using your room as your refuge, and that, as an introvert myself, going back to my hotel room for a quick like social recharge, yeah, take a shower, a power nap, whatever you need. It's nice to know that your room is close by, especially if you forgot something, need to run back. Yeah, it's a good like grounding place if you need it, 'cause it's going to be a busy few days.
Yeah, and they're going to be intense days as well. So the sessions are 45 minutes long. You're going to be speaking to lots of new people, hopefully, as well. So just taking that time out to just take a quick recharge. I know it's something I do every year as well because my social battery starts to drain after a while. So I always make the most of it. And I guess if you kind of know which talks you want to attend as well, you can kind of plan things out. So if there isn't a talk you're particularly keen on at a certain point in the day, you can possibly mark that off as your kind of rest and recovery time where you just head back to your room, maybe grab a drink or something from the cafe, head back to your room, and just take a bit of a breather. So yeah, make the most of that.
And then, so as we're talking about the talks and being prepared, one of the things that we talked about in the blog was, yeah, making sure that you pack accordingly. So obviously, you're going to want to bring laptop, power adapters, dongles, chargers, etc., all of that. But one of the key points that you wanted to put in there was making sure that your equipment meets the prerequisite. So can you explain a little bit what that means and what people need to do to get their machine ready for the talks or for whatever they're participating in?
Yeah, no, completely. So there's going to be a number of different events running alongside the talks, usually in the evenings. I think we're also running one workshop as well before the conference starts. So if you're taking part in any of the workshops or the coding nights as well, just make sure your machine is working and it's capable of running an instance of TYPO3. So if you're going to be working at the coding night, you're going to need to be able to pull down uh, source code from one of our repositories. So you should be familiar with version control, installing TYPO3. I'm fairly sure most people will be comfortable doing that anyway.
Yeah.
But if you're sending a junior, or you're sending someone who's new to the community, just make sure they've got machines ready to run TYPO3, and they should be fine. Most of
Okay.
us use DDEV to manage our TYPO3 instances. So if you're comfortable using containers, be it Docker or stuff on top like DDEV, it will make things a little bit quicker as well. So yeah, don't forget about that.
Okay. Well, that is obviously very important. Um, and now that we've kind of covered some of the essential things that you need to be prepared, let's go on to your area of expertise, the fun stuff. So one of the TYPO3 community members said to come with fun, joy, and in a good mood, which I thought was really endearing. So what can you say about years past in developer days, or like, the fun tips that you would give to someone coming to their first one, myself included?
I suppose that the thing to remember above all else is that you're surrounded by like-minded people who have a passion for our CMS, our product. We're also the same in the sense that we also have a genuine interest in TYPO3's roadmap and using TYPO3 as well. So even if you're talking to someone who's from the other side of the world, there's probably more things that you have in common with that person that you don't. So there's always something to talk about with other people. You're always going to have some sort of common interest. You could both be front end developers, you could be both integrators, back end developers, or whatever. There's always something to talk about. So kind of use that familiarity you have with these people as a basis for your entire time with us. So I'm sure on the social nights at the end of the week, everyone's going to let their hair down and have a bit of a dance. We'll have the DJ on again this year as well, which was a resounding success last time. Equally, if dancing and partying isn't your thing, there's a quiet room. There's numerous separate rooms available to you. So if you want to break away in and work on a feature or to do something completely different, you've got the facilities to do it as well. So there really is something for everyone to do. Quite often people will break away and have an idea and work on a feature or something. And the facilities are there to do that. So it's not uncommon to do that. So if you have an idea, just go ahead and speak to someone about it. Equally, we'll be there as well from the podcast team. I'm hoping we'll have a room allocated as well so we can spend some time talking to people. Please, please, please do stop by and say hello. And you don't have to be on the show, but give us some feedback and tell us what you like about the podcast, what you don't like as well, because we're always in need of that. So, yeah, I think that covers it.
No, and I think one of the last things I would say from your tips that we included in the blog was just the proximity to the city center. Like if you were looking to go out and explore or kind of have some time to yourself or go off site to eat, there are places nearby and things that you can do. When you have a minute, if you're not, into the party scene or just wanting a little bit of time to yourself as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really close by as well. So make the most of it. I think most people get the electric scooters to travel up into town. That's quite common. And I guess if you do end up forgetting a power adapter or a dongle or something you need, you can literally just take a quick taxi or a scooter up to the city and pick something up as well. I remember the first time I attended, I forgot my power adapter, and I just quickly popped up and bought a new one as well. So if you need to grab something real quick from the city, it's a few minutes away.
Nice. Well, I think that covers it. Most of what we talked about is in the blog, and we're just looking forward to seeing everybody. And I'm, for one, at least looking forward to attending my first developer day. So if you see us there, come by and say hello, and we hope everyone gets there safely.
Yeah, and I just want to give a quick shout out to some of the folks in the TYPO3 Developer Days channel on Slack who gave us some really useful ideas. So that's a big shout out to Georg Gringer, Garvin, Ralph, Yaigel, Guido, and my old friend Thomas Loeffler as well. So thanks, guys, for giving us some really cool ideas.
And now I'm joined by Louisa, our Senior Success Manager at TYPO3. As you saw, Tom and I did a segment recently on how to survive your first developer days with an accompanying blog with all the information for anyone coming to developer days for the first time might find helpful. So for you, Louisa, as an expert at attending developer days, what did you find useful from our segment in the blog, and what did you think was missing, or what would you recommend to someone attending?
Thanks. First of all, thanks for having me. To make sure, I really like the part where you were telling people about the potential heat in Karlsruhe and the non-existent air conditioning, because that what happened to me during my first developer days, which was 2022. We had a really nice heat wave there. It was excruciatingly hot. And thankfully, I brought a little mini fan to plug into a USB port, which made the nights semi-survivable. So my tip, just in addition to bring light fabrics and like light shirts to wear, definitely bring a USB fan if you have one, just in order to make it a little bit more livable during the nights. And then also there is AC in all of the main rooms. So during the talks, you will be fine. And there's also some additional chill out rooms, which are conveniently named, which have extra high AC. So it's going to be pretty freezing in there. So also don't forget to bring like a light jacket or something, because you can get pretty thick in there too if it's too cold, which also happened to me in 2023. So I pretty much did it all. So, yeah.
Well, as a first timer myself, that is very helpful, because that's an oversight on our part, was not including a fan, because those are so crucial, especially the neck ones that you can kind of keep around you just to keep cool. I also did that. Sorry, go ahead.
And definitely the extra t-shirt ones, because I'm not an avid sweater, but I even went through like 4 or 5 shirts a day easily just by going from my room to the main stage. So yeah, rather pack a little bit too much than not enough.
Okay, good tips, and especially the extra jacket with the chill out rooms, because I did not realize there were other rooms to cool down in. So that is very helpful. And as we're talking about places to chill out or recharge, one of the things that we talked about in the blog was going back to your room to seek refuge and kind of recharge your batteries that way. What can you tell me a little bit about some of the things that are being offered at this developer days? For instance, the breathing coach and the sessions. Can you explain a little bit what that's going to look like and when it's offered?
Yes, of course. So having a 3-day event with like 250 attendees can be a little bit overwhelming, even for experienced event goers like us. So we do have a breathing coach this time, which is Stefan Völker. He's going to offer breathing lessons every night at 5:30 to 8, just to wind down after a long day of just listening to talks and a lot of networking. You can attend for free. We did have a yoga coach on site last year, which was really pretty well received. So this time we were like, let's do something for the mind, especially with all of the really interesting talks this time. You need to wind down your brain before you can go to bed in peace. And then again, the chill out rooms are not just for cooling down on a physical level, but also there's like a no speaking rule in there. So you can actually go in there if you need to recharge, just sit on some beanbags and take a break if you need one.
So it really is a chill out,
Yes.
relaxation room and space. Okay. That's interesting. So the breath work sessions, that's the first time that this has been done.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
okay.
So
And
we did have a couple of people who offered them thoroughly throughout the last years as sessions, so it was integrated into the session plan. But this time we wanted to offer it over, open to everyone, so it's in the evening for everyone to attend.
very cool. I mean, I myself have only been to camps and the General Assembly, and those are long days as well. So I could see how winding down with something like that would be very, very helpful. And now on to the actual important things, at least for in terms of the schedule for developer days. I saw a contribution boot up day before the actual dev days. Can you talk a little bit about what that is and how it helps or pertains to coding night?
Yeah, of course. So the coding night, as I said, is besides the social night, one of the biggest events of Dev Days, which has been happening for years. And it enables everyone to actually contribute to TYPO3. But in the past, people haven't been able to contribute right away when they started the coding night, just because the setup was missing and they didn't exactly 100% know what was being asked of them, what they would need to bring to the table. So we wanted to change that a little bit up. There was a contribution boot up day, I think 10 years ago, and that was really successful. It's just an event and a free workshop people can sign up for in order to get ready for their contribution at Social Night. So it's just going to be an introduction course basically into how to contribute to the core and what you can do and how all of that works together. There's going to be 2 editions. So a core edition, which actually works on the TYPO3 core, and a documentation edition, which is not booked out yet. So if you're interested in contributing to the TYPO3 documentation, which we would really appreciate, you can also sign up there and just get an introduction into how to actually contribute.
Very nice. And again, keeping with the topic of the schedule, I, of course, working for the GmbH, know how this works, but I wanted you to be able to explain to everyone else how the selection process is for talks and also how the schedule is shaping up from your point of view and what is still left to be done there.
So basically, in the past, again, people could just submit their talks and they were getting placed in the schedule pretty much like that. This year and even last year, we had a lot of newbies from outside the TYPO3 community joining for the first time. And we just really wanted to make sure that they get a really good onboarding into TYPO3, which means we have to cover a certain level of topics from any speciality or professionalism. So in the past, it was a lot of backend and front end and infrastructure. But since we've seen that the developer days are turning more towards like a bigger event, which is not only or not solely targeted towards developers anymore, we just wanted to broaden that. Hence why we were also asking for topics beyond the horizon. So marketing insights, for example, or case studies or project best practices. Yeah, so basically we wanted to see talks that haven't been held at any TYPO3 camps before, just in order to be able to actually say, hey, if you visit developer days every single year, you actually get new insights and it doesn't feel like a recycled TYPO3 camp Frankenstein monster, if you know where I'm going at, because
Sure.
you've heard all of the talks somewhere else again. And then schedule-wise, there's going to be a clear separation between the contents of each talk, which are going in parallel, so that if you're a backend developer, you don't have to always choose between, hey, I want to see both of these, but I have to choose one. So I think the schedule is looking really good. It's really nicely balanced between like which way and which professional route to go. And yeah, I would like to see some of the developers, of course, also joining the documentation or the marketing talks just to reach out a little bit more, because I feel like we're in a really good era in TYPO3 of breaking down boundaries, especially inside the different departments. And I feel the schedule really, yeah, shows that.
Well, I'll say too, from the feedback that we received from the community, the main takeaway, at least for me, was that both professionally and personally was to get out of the comfort zone of things that you already know, people that you already know, just going to your colleagues' talks and things like that, to really, immerse yourself into the community, broaden your horizons, and make the most out of the experience there, so that the information is new and interesting to you, and maybe outside of your realm for once, which I found really encouraging that was so consistently recommended, which means people attending will be doing that, which is nice. There's a rumor that there's a tattoo artist. Can you give a little background on how that came to be, and what's the process like? Do people need appointments? Can they pay cash? Is it a donations-based system? What's the story with the tattoo artist?
The story is actually pretty fun because, as always, the best ideas get born during social nights. So this one actually came to life during TYPO3 Camp Mitteldeutschland in Dresden in March this year, where in the speed dating session by Daniel, Kevin introduced himself as, "Hey, I'm Kevin and I like to get tattoos." And then we were like, "Hey, why don't you get a TYPO3 tattooed on yourself?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure." And yeah, Kevin is going to get the first TYPO3 logo tattooed, I think at 10 in the morning. And then afterwards, we do have a couple of open spots, which you can book yourself if you would also like to get a tattoo. The motifs are actually on the website, so you can choose out of these ones or request other ones, but they have to be an outline design. So nothing really too specific or too detailed, because it's like 1 hour appointments each. If you'd like to get one of the slots, I'll certainly get the little seal tattooed because it's born out of the marketing team. So it's going to be my forever remembrance of that.
Where are you getting it tattooed?
I'm actually not sure yet, but I do have a small little unicorn on my right foot, so I might get the seal on my left foot so that I have 2 little cartoony foot tattoos. I don't know. Yeah, so if you'd like to get a tattoo, you would have to send your request to events@typo3.com and then choose out of the designs, or send your design request or idea over to us so that we can book you in. Yeah, basically you can either pay cash or by PayPal, but it's going to be donations to Amicap, which is a sanctuary we've visited during surf camp in Fuerteventura. And again, we want to give back, especially looking at the intense heat, which is going to be here. It's going to be probably a lot worse in Fuerteventura, and the animals need shelter and food, and we really love the atmosphere there. So yeah, we're just keeping it all in line with our overarching topic this year and just giving back a little bit more.
Very cool. And so just to clarify, they can be from the designs offered, which do have the TYPO3 logo in different variations, but you could opt to do something different so long as it's simple, like a fine line or like outline of something, and not super intricate.
Exactly. So anything between, like, I think 10 centimeters is the maximum width it could have. But besides that, anything outline designy would work. But of course, we're really liking to see people getting some of the motifs the tattoo Helden designed for us.
Okay, very cool. And speaking about the community and the social events and how ideas are born out of them, which I think makes TYPO3 really unique and fun. Myself as an outsider coming in to the ecosystem, I wanted to talk a little bit about the special musical guest on Friday night and also how that came to be, because I've heard there's a story about how the event will play out. So what happened? Was it last year at Developer Days?
It was last year, but actually I didn't attend because I got lost in the kicker table. So I only heard about it and I heard the music coming from downstairs. but basically Ralf Merz, aka he has the handle T3 Quetsche because he always brings his little squeezy musical instrument. He always brings it to developer days and he pops out like random musical numbers. And last year he just put down a little plate where you could get donations and get him a beer or something. And because it was so well received and people were sitting outside and then inside until like 4 in the morning, I think,
Oh, wow.
we asked him to actually bring his instrument this year, and we're going to include it in the actual program just because it's an adventure and it's an experience for sure. And I feel like Ralf is one of the people who really brings a lot of heart and spirit to the event, so we're really happy that he agreed to do that this year.
I guess that's kind of how a tradition is
Yeah.
born. It always has a really good origin story. And so, okay, I'm looking forward to that myself. And then there's the infamous social night. So Tom and I have already talked about this. He's very much looking forward to that. So when will it take place? What can we expect? Are drinks included? What are the details there for people attending?
So the social event at the TYPO3 Developer Days is, besides the coding night, one of the biggest events because it just cleans up the night after a long day of talks, as we talked about. After winding down with the breathing coach or the yoga session, you just come back together and enjoy a fun night with each other. The last years it was always on the second day, so you had a third day afterwards. And as you might be able to imagine, if there's a lot of alcohol, drinks, and musical numbers included until 4 in the morning, the morning sessions on the last day weren't really that well received. And that's just a shame because we have really, really good speakers and we want to give them the best possible stage and, yeah, the best possible stage we can, and that includes just respecting their time and their efforts as well. So we pushed the social night to the last day, so it's going to be the closing night of the entire developer days, so it's going to be on Saturday so that everyone can get as drunk or as fun or as musically involved as they want to, and then just travel home on Sunday. As last year's also, there's going to be a DJ. It's going to be DJ Dennis, and he's just going to play a really nice variation of musical themes during the entire night. We are going to have a big selection of food this year. I think the last years that wasn't the case. We had currywurst mainly, and this time we're going along with the surfer topic, and we have a lot of different variations and even some vegan and vegetarian options. Also, just some water ice popsicles and even some dessert. Yeah, and basically the social night is the closing night of our 3-day event, just to wind down after the 3 days you experienced, or even 4 days. Like there's the workshops before, there's the dialogue day before, so you might just need a night to let it all out and start your Sunday fresh and new. Yeah, it's definitely an experience and you shouldn't miss it.
Well, this is similar to the conversation I had with Daniel about moving the awards gala for T3Con to the end because
it's a recurring topic.
People have a lot of fun, and then going to a conference or going to a session the next day is really rough, and it definitely siphons the energy out of the room when everyone has had a lot of fun the night before and doesn't have much left to give.
And just imagine you being the speaker who's going to be placed on Saturday morning at 9 in the morning, which is going to be me and Florian concerning the marketing topics. Just imagine you put a lot of effort into creating your talk and actually want to give the people a lot of valuable insights. And then you're sitting in front of like maybe 20 people and 20 others coming in during the session with like eye bags down to their cheeks. It's just
not a good look.
The best feeling, yeah.
Yeah. Plus, it also limits how much fun the speakers can have as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so I myself am really excited about attending Developer Days for the first time. Every TYPO3 event I've been to so far has been very special and unique. And the biggest takeaway again for me is how welcoming and inclusive everyone has been. So what are you most looking forward to with this Developer Days?
Okay, so it's going to be my second Developer Days as an employee from TYPO3 GmbH, and the experience from the time before has been insanely different. And I'm this time just really looking forward to talk more about our like surf camp and the different approaches we're taking towards how to get more younger people and more diverse people into the community. So I'm looking forward to a lot of interesting talks concerning that. And obviously, I'm looking forward to seeing everyone I've been knowing for years again. And I'm looking for the social night and the tattoo artist, which is just a really cool thing that happened out of nowhere pretty much. And I'm looking forward to hearing a lot of interesting talks because I already have, I think, 4 or 5 talks in my schedule, which I'm really looking forward to see, which I haven't seen during all of the camps I visited this year. Yeah, so I think it's going to be an amazing and interesting event. And we are just a couple of tickets short of this year's event being even bigger than last year's.
Wow.
So I think we're looking at like 3 missing tickets as of today. So I think we're going to probably get the 3 tickets more so that we're at least at an even.
Very nice. And do you anticipate there being quite a few newcomers, or what was the
Yeah.
situation like last year?
Yeah, last year there were already quite a few newbies, and this year, looking at the ticket sales, there's a lot of new people coming in also, which is a great development. And again, I really like what you just said concerning the inclusiveness of the TYPO3 community. So just as a CTA for everyone attending for the first time, don't be afraid. Everyone's really nice. Just grab your coffee, grab your beer, whatever, and just go to other people. I sincerely hope everyone's going to be welcomed with open arms, because that was happened to for me. And if you're just looking for a buddy and don't know where to go, you can always approach us. We're always going to be there, and we can help you find your way into TYPO3.
And as a reminder from Tom and I, we will be there doing the podcast. You're always welcome to come talk to us. You don't have to be on the podcast, but we will be there. So at least Tom, Louisa, and I, familiar faces around. So, well, we look forward to seeing everybody at Developer Days. Louisa, thank you for coming here to talk and inform the community about what they can expect at Developer Days, all of the changes, the things that are keeping in line with tradition. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Kendall.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Inside TYPO3. We hope you enjoyed this month's content. We can't wait to see everyone next month at the Developer Days. We hope our tips were helpful to any newcomers and even the seasoned veterans. If you're enjoying the podcast, we would be grateful if you'd rate and review us wherever you get your podcasts. We appreciate the support of the community and will continue to bring you the latest in the ecosystem.